Welcome to the 100th episode of Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. I am your host, Professor Jeremy Vilmer, and joining us now, Arn Anderson's favorite enhancement talent, Bobby Blaze.
Hey, man, I'm sitting over here. I'm lubed up and dressed like a pirate. And Melanie, she's running around braless in a Tampa Bay jersey with her leggings on. And, man, let me tell you, it seems like I'm forgetting something. Oh, yes, our 100th episode, man, and I'm pumped for that. But let's go back to that, man. Can you believe I got put up by Arn Anderson on Ask Arn Anything? I'm stoked.
That was fucking cool. That was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine what that would be like unless somebody like Missy Hyatt said my name or something. Bobby, when you sent me that, and then I saw where people were hitting you on Twitter telling you that it went out as well. Now I have to tell you, I went and checked Cameo to see what Arn charged just to do a spot. I figured I'd get him to, get a voiceover from him. I just couldn't swing it this week. Otherwise, I would have popped $100 to get him to do like a short bell to bell with Bobby Blaze thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I woke up and I had a couple of texts on my phone that someone had written me and said, Arn Anderson put you over on his podcast this morning. And I had those when I woke up. And then about an hour later, someone else texted me the same thing. And I had some, morning errands to do. And so I started it just on a regular podcast. And I usually listen to it on YouTube. And I just listen to, like, if they do a segment I like, I'll listen to it, and fast forward or what have you. Anyway, that day there, I came back in and said, okay, don't even look for it on your phone. Don't, I started to, and it's like, I don't know how many minutes it was in or whatever. It's around 44 if you want to know, people. But when I come home, I could do it on my YouTube. So I had an idea what they was talking about each segment, and I actually listened to the program. I really enjoyed it. And it was good to hear Bob Cook's name out there. I wrote him a personal message. He said now he's a tremendous worker, according to Arn. Can he be on the show? And I said, we don't have that many guests, Bob, but I've always considered you. I put you on there. And then he mentioned George, who did he say there?
George South.
George South and Mike Jackson, too.
Yeah.
So, but no, it was always a pleasure. Arn and I, he was my road agent many, many times. And we always had I always had the utmost respect for Arn. And if anyone's listening, put out word to him that I said, big thanks for putting my name out there on this podcast. Like I told you, so many times he's said something little to me that's meant so much, just in the catering area or in the war room, and or down Universal. Just that little something that, that gets you over, that little motivational thing, do this, Bobby, what about this? And it was really a pleasure. And when I heard that's a straight shoot, man, that made me feel really good. A lot of times, I don't put myself over a lot, as you know, and even last week, which, by the way, Adam and Sean, thanks again for last week's filling in and helping on the Mid-South Memories. One of them had to goat me into, plugging my books there at the end of it. So anyway, I do appreciate that. It really did mean a lot to me. It made my day, man. I'm not going to lie. So, thank you.
Yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't make your day. That's pretty fucking cool. I mean, that's, we're talking about Arn Anderson here, a man that many of us and our listeners just respect the hell out of. Probably, we're that group who puts him up there with like the greatest of all time,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we are going into episode 100. This month is February of 2021, making it Black History Month.
Yes.
Now, we did a Black History Month episode 2 years ago. Unfortunately, we lost our friend Tex before he had a chance to put those up on YouTube.
Yeah. He was up to a couple, about 4 episodes behind that. It seemed like he had to stop putting the episodes up. But that is episode number 35. If you go back through the archives of the Bell to Bell Bobby Blaze. And we had some pretty good champions and gave a lot of recognition to our black athletes and black professional wrestlers, especially during that time, during that episode, rather. So we do honor our black athletes and our black leaders. This show here is, I think, probably more diverse than any other show you probably listen to. I think they appreciate the fact that we try to tell each other to be kind for each other. Not to change the subject, but Jeremy and myself have given out the national suicide hotline number before and stuff, because we do care, man. I was listening to an older podcast today, and one of them, it just said, is like, we do appreciate the fans. We do care. We're just two guys that enjoy and love professional wrestling, and we enjoy talking about it. And that's just the way it came across. And several of our fans have either sent emails or DM saying, man, these are just two guys. You guys are just guys that really want to have a good time and not shit on everyone, and we've held to that pretty good, I think, Jeremy.
I think so. I think we've definitely seen where people have commented on the fact that we never really, and okay, I get a little edgy here and there, but we never really shit on anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And I could go off on a lot of different things, and I choose to bite my tongue sometimes because I feel like it's not worth it, And there's certain guys that's names are never brought up in this podcast that I've worked with and stuff, and I figure there's enough people out there spreading enough trash talk on them or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't need my 2 cents, so I just won't mention someone's name for that particular reason,
Well, I was gonna just real quick on that, like guys like your buddy Sean Waltman, X-Pac, gets a lot of fucking shit, but everybody you talk to who knows him tells you he's a good guy. So it's just one of those things. Like, it's easy for people like me who are outside the business to have all these fucking opinions and blah, 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 but we don't really know what we don't know, Yeah.
Yeah, he is a pretty good guy, actually. He had knee surgery recently, and I spoke to him about 2 weeks ago, just a DM, just a Godspeed, and prior to his surgery, and he said a little picture, man. I saw his knee, and I was like, oh, my God. I said, I've got that to look forward to. I've been putting off my left knee forever, but I don't know exactly what he had. I don't know if it's a total knee replacement or not. I know mine's just an MCL, and it's got to be repaired. I just don't know when. But the pictures he later posted, I thought, man, best of luck with that. I really do mean that. It was still swollen, of course, because it just come out of surgery, but I wish I hadn't seen that picture that day. But yeah, I stayed in touch with them and just, told him I hope that things go good. And it looked like they did. He's still out there at UCLA Medical Center as far as another couple of days. Back to the Black History Month, not to bring it down on it, man, but we got to put over last week. I was so glad I brought it up. You guys were already talking about the Mid-South when I came in. I mean, that was our topic, of course, Mid-South memories. Mm-hmm. And you and Adam and Sean were already talking about, JYD and however he was. And of course, we went through several names, and I really asked, I got to know about Butch Reed. And so we got to talk a little bit about Butch Reed. But sadly, we lost Butch Reed at the age of 66 just yesterday, I think it was, or a couple of days ago by the time you heard this podcast. Man, what a performer. They talked about what a brick house he was of a performer. Yep. With his cut-off jeans and that midriff shirt and that headband. He's always ready to go to work, And I saw several people, just like everyone else on social media, posting. I never had the pleasure of meeting Butch Reed or working out with him, or I don't think I've even seen him live, if I'm not mistaken. But he was a tremendous wrestler and also a rodeo guy. So yeah. I guess he really lived that rugged life. I had heard many, many years ago he was really, really into the rodeo. And I pulled up 2 interviews, one from 2017 and one from 2019 by Bill Apter. And he, of course, went right back into talking about, still being a part of the rodeo, and always enjoying American rodeo. Yep. So he lived a rugged life, dude.
Yeah, that rodeo shit is not for the faint of heart. No. I had an uncle. Well, I rode bulls a couple times, just seeing if I was any good, and I was not, and I couldn't really rope all that well either. But my uncle was a guy who fucking tried every time he could to ride bulls, and like 6 weeks after a knee surgery, one time he was coming out of the chute, slammed his arm and his knee into the side rail as as he came out. So he just went, as soon as that fucking bull danced, he went down, you know?
Yeah.
And that is some hard shit right there. So Butch Reed being a fucking man's man, you know, he wrestled fucking football, fucking, you know, rodeo. Dude was all around hardcore badass. I mean, just plain and simple.
Doubt, man.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I tell you, the best bull rider I ever saw, man, was that Deborah Ringer.
Yeah, she was pretty good. She was pretty good, yeah.
She was pretty good, man.
Yeah.
You know, in likeness of the situation, I had to throw it out there. You know, she could ride a bull pretty good.
Yeah. She was something back in her day too, you know.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One other death we want to pass on from the sports world, man. What a legend. He was United States gold medalist.
Mm-hmm.
I had forgotten. I think he served in the Marines for a little bit. But I know when I looked this up yesterday, I'm talking about Leon Spinks. He beat Muhammad Ali in, I think, 1978.
Yep.
Ali was about 36 or 37 at the time, but Spinks was 24. And I started thinking, I knew I was about 14 or 15 when that took place. And I was when I looked at that yesterday, some of the footage from that fight, and after reading he had passed away, of course, I was going, man, I'm 14 years old. This guy's like 24. And, you know, you're throwing like that 10-year period, you know, it makes a difference in a guy's life. Here he was, he had been in the Olympics, you know, been in the service and fighting for the world heavyweight title and beating who many consider the greatest fighter of all time, you know, greatest heavyweight of all time. And, of course, Ali did regain it from him, but none the matter. That fucking Leon Spinks had that big smile that there was no gap. It was a toothless, just that little split. It was a big ass gap there at that smile, man. And I think Leon, he even said it, you know, he got too much too soon after he turned pro. But he also proved that on any given night, any man can beat another man.
Oh yeah.
And man, he was you know, world heavyweight champion. So, but he passed away. Do you know his age, Jeremy?
He was 60. He was 67 years old.
I was going to say, I think there's how your birthdays, you know. That's why I wasn't sure if he was 66 or 67, because I knew there was like a 10-year gap between him and I when I looked up that fight from 78 to how birthdays roll. So he was actually already 67.
Well, let's see here. You know what? Let me look at the actual math.
Yeah.
The story I saw said
that.
His birthday is July 11th, 1953.
And see, I'm June of 63. That's why that month lapsed there. That's why I was asking. Okay.
Yeah.
So he would be turning 58. Yeah. He would be 57.
Yeah.
Yeah. 68. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. 68. Okay. So we lost two good ones right there, man.
At fairly young ages too.
Yeah. That's what I was getting at. Yeah. So also, you had a question here for us. You want to read that question?
Yeah. So this is just something that comes to mind from time to time, but because Butch Reed was in a great tag team with the great Ron Simmons.
Right.
Ron Simmons is often recognized as the first major black world champion, like of a major promotion. But was the WCW title really a major world championship at the time?
I think so.
You think so?
I do. And I could be wrong, but I think so. But if memory serves me correctly, we talked about several other black heavyweight champions prior to Ron Simmons, but then they made Ron Simmons recognized as the world's first black major champion. I do, because of two things. They had they were still on the road a lot, so they got, you know, doing live events in arenas, so you could present that here's your champion. Okay. And also you had a major TV company behind them to where you could see him on TV each and every week, or at least each other couple weeks, you know, as their champion. So my answer is yes, I think so.
Okay.
It wasn't just you know, some could say, I don't mean it's in any way disregarding the WCW, but you could say, well, WWF at the time, or WWE, they can rewrite their own history or what have you. You got the AWA and NWA and this and that, but you know, for Turner and World Championship Wrestling, I think it's recognized as a major world title. through WCW. What is your opinion?
Well, I'm kind of curious about it because, I mean, it was a separate title it's not like it branched from the NWA title necessarily. They did a whole separate crowning of a champion while the NWA title was still out there, while they were still promoting it. So I was, just kind of curious. Now, I'd say later, definitely by the mid 90s, definitely by the time, going into the NWO and Hulk Hogan coming over and Macho Man. And, so then you've had some real world renowned people carrying that belt. I'd say definitely by then. Yeah. Just early on in its history, and not saying that Ron Simmons wasn't a great wrestler and he shouldn't be recognized. Just my questions about the title itself.
No, I understand that, and that's just like this, though. That would take me back to ask this question, and not to get into a debate or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, let's go back to, 1978, and they go to Brazil, and there's an Intercontinental Championship match now that takes place, and now there's a great Intercontinental Champion, Pat Patterson.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you kind of wrote your own history, if you will.
Yes, absolutely.
And so maybe early on you're thinking, well, what is this title legit or not? But as time goes on, through the power of TV, we all know how powerful that Intercontinental Championship belt became.
Oh, yeah. That's a workhorse belt.
I think the same thing with what you were saying with WCW. Maybe at that time, maybe early on, it's sketchy. But then, as you said, as it went on through the NWO and things like that, it had more meaning. So I think they kind of wrote their own history, if they will. I'm gonna stick with my guns and say yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a totally legit point of view. It's like, remember a couple of years ago, nobody could tell you who the NWA World Champion was, and then all this.
Yeah, we joked about it for a while.
And then Aldis loses it to Cody at that pay-per-view that I'm sure ROH doesn't regret at all.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the NWA is the thing again that we all gave a shit about, So I'm just kind of curious what other people's opinion on that might be. So
that's another good point. That's a good perspective right there, because that's just been in the last couple of years, man.
Yeah. One other news story I wanted to hit real quick. Apparently, the WWE channel is going to be merged with NBC Universal's Peacock channel, or it's going to be carried by it. I'm not sure what the full implications of that are. But I have to imagine that's nothing but a good thing for the WWE.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking if they do it, who knows if they'll do it right? Because I'm talking about like when the lawyers and when the business is all said and done and stuff, you would think about them getting on when they cut the deal with Fox and stuff. I would just like to think that with the Peacock, with WWE working with the Peacock network, which of course it is NBC, you would think that I'm hoping that the boys and the girls, of course, when I say the boys, hopefully the talents will reap the benefits of this as well. I'm not saying it's going to be through insurance or what have you, but hopefully they're making some good money, and I know they can't do the traveling shows and the house shows like they could pre-COVID, but this gives them another TV, more television exposure. I'm hoping that they also reap the benefits of that financially. I wish I was young enough and healthy enough that I was still able to put my hat out there and say, man, one more time, but at least, and I've had guys tell me that older than me, man, do it while you can, Bobby, do it while you can. The same thing with these guys and girls. I hope right now that they're making this money, and I hope they just keep getting better and better each time they expand on something like that. I hope it's not to say it's all going in Vince's pocket, because he has bills to pay and networks to run and everything else. But I'd like to see it definitely for some of the talent and the production and everything just keep getting better and better and more. So,
well, it's definitely it's going to increase its reach and its range. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now
with that, I think you should get money, right? I mean, you're reaching more people's paying. You should get residuals.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, that should be part of the whole deal there, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're not fucking on Gilligan's Island, fucking in reruns every week, not getting jack shit. So you would think these people would be getting off the syndication and off the being live on the Peacock or whatever, some of that money spread to the right people and with residuals, etc.
Yeah, so I definitely think that's going to be, well, hopefully going to be a good thing. And again, hopefully all of wrestling grows because of it, not just the one company, but, we'll take what we can get, I guess.
That's right. Well, let's talk about our 100th, this being our 100th episode, man. Did you ever think we'd do 100 episodes?
Well, a year ago today, I wouldn't have thought so.
Let's see, a year ago today, I wouldn't have either, man. No way. I was still trying to recover from my sickness, man, and was not thinking at all. And honestly, we ended things after that 18-month period, which was our initial agreement. We ended that as two adult grown men, a handshake across the nation, if you will. There was no animosity, nothing that happened between yourself and myself. We had just come at, okay, this is our agreement for now. We done what we could. We're not saying nothing else is going to happen or whatever, but we just needed a break from it. We had ran it as far as we could at that point and took a little hiatus. And I know we was about 54 episodes in, and you and I was talking, and you're like, man, people are asking us questions, and we're pretty much experts on the stuff we're talking about, because we did research things and do still research things and try to give you the best information out there available when we're doing like a top 10 list or giving you a deep dive into a territory or what have you. But we took that little hiatus there. And I wouldn't have thought, I was hoping we'd do something. We had sent a little message to each other about, hey, what's this idea? What's this idea? Or what about this idea? The only thing I had was, I had a couple people write me like, hey, man, you and Jeremy all right? Something. And I was like, no, it had nothing personal. It was just, and some things that happened in your life.
Oh, yeah.
Some things that happened in my life. But I don't know. We just kind of, I'm glad we're at number 100, and I think we've got I know we got some call-ins, some fans congratulating us. Let's put up, if you could, Jeremy, can you pull up the first one? Because I think this first one was significant in helping us. I was just saying, I think this first one has some significance in helping us get kind of thinking, okay, maybe we can do this. Hell, we're not doing anything else with everything being locked down right now with the COVID and stuff. Maybe we can do the podcast again. What do you think? And
yep. Well, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and play that one real quick now.
Okay.
Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. A huge congratulations on 100 episodes, guys. I'm glad I aggravated you all until you decided to do the podcast again. Seriously, though, this is my favorite wrestling podcast because you not only get the history lesson, but there's no negativity, which cannot be said for most of the other podcasts out there. Bobby, you and the professor do a great job in educating us weekly and blending in your real-life experiences in the wrestling business. It's the perfect combination. Plus, you're my favorite podcast host to have a beer with. In closing, I've learned one very important life lesson from all the episodes. Please, whatever you do, do not mess with Gary Hart. He will cut you.
That was Chad Fisher from up in West Virginia, folks. And, I won't say aggravated us, but he wrote several times, hey, man, when you going to have a podcast again? When you going to have a podcast again? And Chad's a pretty cool cat, man. I have to say so myself.
Well, if I remember right, the one where he finally got us talking about it was like, oh, just do a reunion episode. Just do a reunion episode, and, And I remember I texted you when I read that. I was like, well, we could do one, like once a month or something, and then since then we've gotten one out every fucking week. So
I thought that too. And I thought, my second thought after it, and I think that's why we've gotten one up every week, is because we thought, what the fuck else are you doing? You're stuck at home. We're coast to coast here. Let's just pick out a time and get on the internet and let's do it, man. Let's start this thing back and see what the fuck happens. And, of course, you had some good research on some topics as you are starting to think about something else in regards to the podcast. Matter of fact, I know I recorded a couple of little segues for you or promos for you saying, looking who's the greatest champion and, just plugging it. So when it did go, you would have my voice on there. And but it all worked out, man. We're back together now. And we're celebrating 100 episodes. Let's talk about, we're going to go with mine. I sent Jeremy a list. This is just my top 10. It doesn't have to be any special order, but we have them in order because this is the way I put them. And Jeremy agreed with them, and it's our podcast together. So my top 10 episodes that I picked, we'll start with number 1. Jeremy, you want to tell them what I put as number 10?
Yeah, you've got season 6, episode 4's Turkeys Away, which I actually liked quite a bit myself.
Man, we did that so good. We got stuck in like 1978, and we did the WKRP deal, dropping the turkey drop, and we just had fun with it. It was kind of like a wrap-up show for like I said, for just to get a show in over the holiday weekend, that weekend of Thanksgiving, and it ended up turning out to be a blast. And I had several people either DM me or text me that said, "Man, I don't know how you all do it. That's funny, man. You are talented. You're more talented than what you think you are." Stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's so cool. We had fun with that episode. We really did.
Oh yeah, well because we both have this love for old television,
Yeah.
And we're right within the spitting distance of each other's ages, so we grew up with the same stuff, so we have a lot of the same cultural references too. And WKRP, I think that episode of WKRP has to go down as one of the best episodes of a sitcom in history.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, spot on, man, spot on. So if you want that episode, it was Turkeys Away. It was season 6, episode 4. Go back and listen to it, man. It was a good time, and that comes in at number 10. I think also we've got another caller lined out. And again, bear with us on these callers, people. The professor, these have went through my either direct messages or text or through emails, or they've went directly to Jeremy in some points at some point, but most of them have been, they've come down the pike, so to say. So we're going to put them so we can react in real time instead of just going, oh yeah, and that was so-and-so.
Yeah.
This next one is Larry Horsley, if I'm not mistaken, the lawnmower man.
That's it. Let's pull this one up real quick.
Okay.
Hey, Bobby. I just want to say congratulations to you and Jeremy on your 100th episode of Bell to Bell. I look forward to the show every week. If you like down-to-earth guys talking old-school wrestling, this is the place. I look forward to many more myself. Congrats again, and thanks for the weekly entertainment.
So thank you, Larry. That guy has a great, old-school cowboy voice.
Yeah, he's a great guy, Larry. And I mean that sincerely. I was hesitant to ask him if he'd willing to do it because I wasn't sure if he'd want to or not. He's a pretty modest guy, and I'm so glad when he sent me a message back and said he'd be glad to do it. And I appreciate the kind words, man. And he listens to several other podcasts, and he told me sometimes he'll store several up, of other people's because he likes to do it that way. That gives him the entertainment he needs while he's out doing his gig, man. And I think that's pretty cool. We got real listeners, but he also talks about, we're just two guys, like you said, we love talking wrestling. And I would imagine Larry is probably in the same wheelhouse age-wise, probably right in between you and myself, I would imagine. And so he gets a lot of the references, the cultural references, and also he remembers a lot of the because I've talked to him, ran into him one day. I was out walking and ran into him and just wasn't planned or anything. No, we've had planned lunches together and stuff like that, but no, just one day we was walking and we just started talking wrestling, man, of all things, and we recalled angles and stuff. So I'd say without asking his age, he's right in the same wheelhouse as we are as far as being a wrestling fan. And anyway.
Yeah.
And I know he probably liked this next person on my list. Number 9, I thought one of our favorite episodes, and I think it may be one of the bigger episodes since we have come back. I'm not sure if it still is. I know at one point it was one of the biggest episodes since we started back again, and that was our top 10 tribute to Terry Bam Bam Gordy, man. That was episode 5 or season 5, episode 3. Terry Bam Bam Gordy, man. We had fun with that one, man.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Bill Mercer was mentioned on. Don't touch his band. Michael Hayes was like, don't touch his band.
Oh, God, yeah.
Mercer had to get near that band, man. Folks, if you followed us in the last few weeks, we mentioned that probably more than anything. Do yourself a favor, go on YouTube and look up that fucking clip of Mercer wanting to interview Terry Gordy, and Gordy's in the van. You can't see him. And Michael Hayes is, I think, getting out to like stretch or have a drink. I'm not sure which. They're in some bypass, viaduct, underpass somewhere downtown Dallas, Fort Worth area. And Bill Mercer walks up, and it's just funny, man. It really is. And it's serious too, because they're talking about the angle they're involved in. So it's just the free birds being the free birds, man. It's pretty damn cool. Of course, we talk about other stuff too.
It's a great bit, and it's somebody as like serious as Bill Mercer going into that. It just cracks me up even just thinking about that scene. Because then Michael Hayes all like serious, like, oh, don't fuck with this man. And what was great about that episode was we actually got a retweet from Terry Gordy's daughter over on
Miranda.
Yeah. And so that was really cool. And that's also where we came up with our Ray is the most Southern name ever theory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're right, man. You're right. So, and things come out of nowhere sometimes. Because if you recall, we were working on another season, and you sent me a private text or DM, I'm not sure which. So when I say that, people, it's on my phone, one way or the other.
Yeah.
It could be an email, it could be a DM, or it could be a text, one or the other. Because some of y'all have my phone number, some of you had my Twitter account, and some of you have my email. I don't know. So anyway, but I was sitting there working on something else when the DM popped up, and it just said, hey, how about Terry Gordy? And I wrote back, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we think of that before? I got so excited, because we knew whatever we was finishing up on that week, the very next one was going to be Terry Bam Bam Gordy. And I got like high from that, like, yeah, fuck yeah, man. We're going to go for it.
Yeah, that was great. It was a lot of fun. I would say there's an argument to be made that, that might have been one of our best episodes, just as far as like digging into a topic that we know our listener base is really going to enjoy, that we're going to enjoy putting together, and that you guys would enjoy listening to. I think that there's an argument to be made for that one, because Bam Bam's a fucking legend. Bobby, so what did you learn about when Bam Bam tells you to fucking arm whip him? What do you do?
I better fucking arm whip him. I know that. But you're Terry Bam Bam Gordy, man. Yeah. That's a reference to when I got to wrestle, myself, Robert Gibson was wrestling Tommy Rich and Terry Bam Bam Gordy down in Smoky Mountain. Right here's a good segue, Jeremy, to plug my books.
Yeah.
And that's in one of my books, Pin Me, Pay Me, Have Boots Will Travel. And if you go to tinyurl.com/blazebook1, you'll be able to read that story that Jeremy's references about when I did get to, I had a chance to arm drag and arm whip Terry Gordy, but I locked up a little bit. I'll say that. I don't know. But Great Smoky Mountain stories in there. All about my career, places I got to go, people got to meet and see, and things like that. I also got a second book. It's called I Kicked Out on Two, The Educational Wrestler. Again, the professor has set up a little segue cut point where you can go through tinyurl.com/blazebook2. So again, tinyurl.com/blazebook1 or tinyurl.com/blazebook2, and you can easily get one of my books off of Amazon using that site. And also, the show gets a little bit of a kickback. Folks, it's just a little bit of the kickback, but we do appreciate every little bit we do get, because we do enjoy having this show. And I'm not going to go on a rant here, Jeremy. I'm just going to tell you I had some notes written down. Man, we're at 100 episodes, over 10,000 listens. So we need some sponsors, because the books do help sponsor the show sometimes. But if anyone out there is listening, is there anyone else out there in the podcast world knows how to help us get some sponsors? Or if you'd like to be a sponsor, please get a hold of myself or Jeremy. And I'll tell you an easy way to do that. And that is, if you want to get a hold of Jeremy, go to the Geekish Cast on Twitter. If you go to Bobby Blaze 744 on Twitter, you'll get me. Or the joint account, which again, that'll go to Jeremy. It's that Bell to Bell Blaze. Have any ideas for sponsors or sponsorship? Man, I know we got a good podcast. I get a lot of positive feedback, but it'd also be nice to, have a sponsor or two throughout the, and yeah, you're going to get some ads here or there, but also it'll help us though, just with what we're trying to accomplish. So I just kind of throw it out there since we're, just for what it's worth, folks. Not begging, borrowing, stealing, just putting the idea out there. The best thing you can probably do is fucking tell a friend, retweet our tweets, and share all of our podcast and give us a review. Leave us a review. Just be fair and honest when you leave a review, and leave us one on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you are listening to this podcast at. Just leave us a nice review and say, hey, put us over a little bit, man. We put you all over all the time, you cocksuckers.
Yeah. What the fuck's wrong with you guys?
Come on, man.
Yeah. See,
get with it.
What I didn't tell you, Bobby, is that so we host on Anchor. Anchor was bought by Spotify, so now all the numbers are different. It's harder to see certain things, but we're actually rounding up on 15,000 listens since we came back at this point.
Okay, cool. Because I wasn't going to bother you about that. I went through my notes again the other day on my DMs, and I was like, I knew you had said something. I said, did he tell me that they got Spotify bought them Anchor? And I was like, yeah. I looked at it, I'm like, okay, I'll ask him another time. So I'm glad you brought that up. So we're at 15,000 listeners, man, and so it shows we are doing something, and we've been very consistent in the last 5 or 6 months or however long it's been now.
Yeah.
But and we've got more great content lined up too. I know I'm working on a solo thing I will be doing sometime at the end of the month. I know we got a couple good topics the next couple of weeks we're going to be doing. But right now, hell, we're just celebrating our 100th episode, and I think you got a friend of mine from up in West Virginia, a young man I helped many, many years ago. I think the world of this guy. I think Shane Storm called in. Let me hear what he has to say.
All right, let's pull him up real quick.
Hey, this is Shane Storm, and you're listening to one of my favorite podcasts, Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. And Bobby, I just want to say congratulations on 100 shows. And congratulations to everyone listening, because you're finding out something that I already knew. Bobby is one of the best storytellers ever, with some of the best stories that you've ever heard. Congratulations, Bobby. Here's to 100 more.
All right.
Fuck you, Paul. Fuck you, Paul. That's what I'm going to say to Shane Storm right there. Thanks, Shane. And he'll get that. Him and Justin, his buddy Justin, will get that. We was on our way to a show one time when I told him the Paul Warendorf story about being down in Orlando, Florida. And it was after the big deal where Big Van Vader, I guess, didn't want to be moved or going to or go do a promo. And Paul told him, hey, very professionally, hey, Leon, they need you over here to do a, interview or what have you. And yes, he says, fuck you, Paul. And I guess Paul's like, well, fuck you. And in a pair of flip-flops, gets him with his, beats him down, and then puts the fucking flip-flops to him. I guess beats the shit out of him. No guessing to it for everything I've heard. As a straight shoot. And the funniest thing, though, was maybe a year went by, I don't know, and I'm down at Universal Studios, and another person, a great guy, Brad Armstrong. We're in a group. There's probably 150 people from all over the world. You had your Mexican guy staying in one corner, Japanese wrestlers in another. You had your Southern white trash down in one corner. You had your Florida boys in the corner. You had the Minnesota guys over. Big old room, big old trailer. You're on a set. Universal Studios. And every morning they call everyone together to put up like 5 big whiteboards to who you wrestling that day, what match. They ran 5 live events a day, 5 matches per event, throughout the theme park there. And Paul comes out one morning and he's like, all right, boys, come on, let's gather in here. He played football and stuff. He's like a damn coach, and he didn't need a whistle, but, it's time to huddle up, basically, so we can know what the fuck the day's duties are, Yeah. All right, boys, come on, huddle up. And it's like 8:30 in the morning, man. People's been out partying, drinking. Hell, you're in Florida for 10 or 12, 14 days, on WCW's dime anyway. So, people just kind of, moving along, making their way out to the center of this big, sound stage. And some of them are moving slower than others. But anyway, he goes, all right, guys, come on. This voice out of nowhere goes, fuck you, Paul. And everyone cracks up. And it was Brad Armstrong was bent over in a group of guys saying, fuck you, Paul. And he was doing it in his big Vader voice, and Orndorff just, he's kind of walking toward the center. He goes, that fucking Brad. He didn't have to look up or nothing. He just knew, and everyone started cracking up. And Brad popped up and said, yeah, I'm right here, coach. Orndorff, I'm right here, Paul. I'm right here. And it broke the momentum. We'd been there like 10 days or whatever, plus you're doing nightly shows. It broke the momentum. It was something we needed. And we've talked about Brad before, being behind the scenes, how funny he fucking is, man. Hilarious, his sense of humor and wit and stuff. But anyway, Shane Storm, that story for you, because I know you liked it, and I know you always liked hearing about Vader getting beat up, Jeremy, you sick bastard.
I know.
But no, it was the fuck you Paul story. Is pretty good. I think I put that in Pin Me, Pay Me. Have Boots Will Travel. It might have been in the second book. I don't know. But hell, buy them both, by God. And fuck you. But no, thank you, Shane Storm. I appreciate that, man. Anything right there you want to say or anything, Professor?
Well, yeah, I normally try not to revel in stories of somebody getting the shit kicked out of them. But the idea of Paul Orndorff, and the punch was with his atrophied arm. It was with his damaged arm. And he dropped a guy as big as Leon White. And then I can't remember, was it after or somebody was there and reports on it says I was standing right there, and I guess while wearing flip flops, Paul Orndorff then turns and kicks him right in the button, snapping his head back to his own back.
Yeah,
that is just Jesus Christ! You do not fuck with a man who can beat you senseless with his bad arm while wearing flip flops. You just don't.
Yeah. I know Pinzer was there, and Sullivan
it must have been Pinzer then.
And some of them guys, that say it, that was actually there, they just tell it like that's the way it happened, So what they needed was a referee.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I was just going to say the next one on the list here, one of my favorite episodes that we did was way back then, and that was episode number 37, and that was on referees, man. We had a good time with that one. I know we had, I know the top two, I'm thinking it might have been a top three referees. Do you know who those were, just off the top of your head? I know who 1 and 2 were. I think I know number 3 was.
Well, I got to say that Mark Curtis, Brian Hildebrand had to have been in the top 3. I'm just going.
Yeah, he was number 2. He was number 2. If I'm not mistaken, we put Charles Robinson as number 3. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but I think he was busting his ass so much, setting a ring up, refereeing, and all that. I think he was number 3, and I know Brian Hildebrand, Mark Curtis was number 2, and I bet you do recall who was number 1, right?
Was it one of the Hebners?
No, it was Tommy Young.
Oh shit! Yeah, okay, of course it was.
Tommy Young in there. Yeah,
of course it was.
So we had 1. The Hebner was in there. Dick Worley was in there. Nick Patrick was in there. Tim White was in there. I'm just drawing off the top of my head here, but I knew the top 3 because we had debated upon putting Charles up there. I think maybe above one of the Hefners, but I think he was 3, and then like I said, Mark Curtis, and then Tommy Young, and I think off that list 10. I think probably 7 of them mentioned that Tommy Young was the go-to man. He was the one they had tried to style themselves off.
Yeah.
To be that kind of referee. Excuse me. Need a drink of water here.
Yep.
Need a drink of water. Wanting a beer, but I'm gonna get a drink of water, Jeremy.
Well, you crack a beer when you get a chance.
Kill.
It's the 100th episode. You might as well celebrate.
Well, if I grab a beer, you better got something to say for next. It'd take me at least 30 seconds to go in there and grab a beer.
Well, let's just keep
you
going.
You want to talk
then.
about the referees or what? You tell me when I take a 30-second break here, and by God, I'll take a 30-second break and grab a beer and have it cracked open before you know it.
You know what? Go ahead, because I'll talk about Brian Hildebrandt for a second.
Do that. Yeah,
because he was the guy that I realized how much a ref does in a match and how much he communicates to the audience, because all of his gestures, everything he did, you could see from the back of the room. It's something I used to joke with my younger brother. I would call it speaking referee, because the way he would pantomime his lines, because he had to communicate what's going on in that ring to everybody there in these larger crowds. The guy was just great. I believe he also wrestled as a mutant Ninja Turtle, which just proves his dedication to the sport. But he's the guy that I think of when I think of a great referee, just because of his skill at communicating with the audience, his physicality in the ring. Because you'll watch him, he'll like roll over a wrestler's back to like check a shoulder, and then he'll roll the other way over the wrestler's back, check the other shoulder. Guy never quit moving. He was just great at his job. And Bobby, that was 30 seconds.
And I'm back, and I've had it. I'm telling you, I heard it. I think less than 30 seconds. Mark Curtis, I tell you what, man, we had it down to where we worked so much together. I knew that if I was going to kick out on 2, it was going to be about 2 3/4. He could get his hands so close, timing-wise, that I would barely kick out. And he was always a pleasure to work with and be in a ring with. So, referees. Episode number 37. And I told Jeremy fans, wrestling fans out there listening today, just so you know, we're celebrating our 100th episode today. And I told Jeremy before we went on, I'm probably going to have a beer during this episode. So, also it's Super Bowl Sunday, and Melanie got these leggings on and going braless in her Tampa Bay jersey. I'm getting lubed up, man. I think I'll dress as a pirate later on. I don't know. I could be a chief. I don't know. Maybe either one. I just hope it's a damn good game, because by the time you all hear this, the game will be over with anyway.
Yeah.
But let's cheer for the cheerleaders. All right, here.
Always do.
So next up, do we have someone calling in?
Yes. Here's the problem with it. This guy here, the problem with this guy is he's got like 19 different kayfabe names that you got to worry about when trying to find his fucking email. But
100 episodes. Congratulations, Bobby. Congratulations, Jeremy. Thank you all for the hours of education, the hours of entertainment, and the hours and hours of talking about professional wrestling. And as much as I love sports entertainment, there is nothing like professional wrestling. Thank you all. You have a listener for life in me, and here's to 100 more. Thanks, guys.
I was going to say, it sounded like he may have been calling in from a barrel.
Yeah, a little bit.
Sports and that other word. And this, just leave his ass in that barrel.
Okay.
Bury him. If he's got the upcoming matches with anyone in the surrounding areas, give me a heads up. And if this COVID fucking thing's lifted, as a biggest supporter as I have been of Casey King, and I'm going to continue to be, I do want to go and watch and see if someone's going to beat his ass or not for the Appalachian Dream. Someone's going to give you an extra whack for using them hot Tui Sports Center.
Coming on our show talking like that. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but we do appreciate you calling in. But straighten up that language, man.
Yeah.
Damn.
Do you kiss your grandmother with that mouth? Good God.
I hope not. I don't know. He's from Kentucky. He's like me. He probably does. Has at least a cousin. I don't know.
At least a cousin, yeah. Now we're kind of covering your favorite episodes of our show so far, and this is kind of a fun one to put in there because we just did this one, and this was our remembering the Mid-South with Sean and Adam.
Man, Yes, and I came in late, and I wanted to say I was on for 5 or 10 minutes before I turned my microphone on because, I was having internet problems, but I was enjoying it so much. I was waiting for a chance to come in on it. And I tell you, then I listened to the playback when it came back out on Tuesday. Man, you guys, Sean, Adam, can't thank you enough. Of course, Jeremy, can't thank you enough for your professionalism and being prepared for that. But that was, folks, if you have not listened to that and you want to take a deep dive into the Mid-South memories, it's episode 99. It was just last week. It's season 7, episode 5. Guys, I've got a lot of good feedback on that. And if you don't know anything about Mid-South Wrestling or the UWF with Bill Watts and JYD, and we talked about Butch Reed earlier, and Hacksaw Duggan and Ted DiBiase and the Freebirds and all that. And, man, to me, it's a tremendous episode. So much so that I put it up there right there, in my top 10 episodes that I've really enjoyed. And it wasn't just because it's so fresh in my mind. It was because it was that damn good. So I'd tell people right now, if you haven't listened to any of our episodes, go listen to that one. And I'm not even in part of it. That says a lot right there. That it's not just because it has my name on it. It talks about how good a professor can put some shit together and pull this thing off to make this a team effort, and also to make it an educational. Because when I listened to it, like I said, I didn't even interrupt. And then when I finally did listen to the playback, I was like, man, this is educational for a real wrestling fan, Tremendous episode, man.
Oh, yeah. And, Sean and Adam they are students of the game, especially regionally. Like, if you go through some of their collections, and they've got playbills and programs and stuff, and one of them even had, like, the oldest rule book I have ever seen in print for pro wrestling and boxing matches in the state. I thought that was really cool. So, these guys know their shit backwards and forwards.
Right on.
Yeah. You know what? Let's go ahead and let's hit, while they were here, I had them record a little something. I'm going to go ahead and just play these back to back real quick.
Sure.
This is Sean Sparks, Sparks Third Coast on Twitter, wishing the Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze podcast a happy 100th episode. Really been loving it, guys. Y'all keep up the good work. Congratulations again.
Hi, this is Adam Price, A Price INS on Twitter, wishing Jeremy Vilmer, the Professor, and Bobby Blaze a happy 100th episode of Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. Keep up the good work, guys. We hope we have more than 100 more in you.
All right. So those are our boys, Adam and Sean there. And so thank you guys for coming on to do that, because, they definitely were the go-to guys from Mid-South.
Absolutely. That was excellent, man. Excellent. Moving closer to the top 5, I'll go out number 6. I really wanted to put this in our top 5, but also I just knew we had so many good episodes, man. But we've only had a couple guests on here, Sean and Adam. We had William Harding on here. We do plan on having more guests in the future. But one of our biggest guest stars that we've had on this program, and it was just a pleasure, man. I know it's someone on your bucket list to interview, and that is, the Tennessee stud, Ron Fuller, and that was season 4, episode 5, man. He come on to talk about professional wrestling, of course, in his book Brutus. And if you haven't read it, it's still available. Just go to tnstud.com. I'll give him a plug there. But he's probably one of, if not the greatest storyteller about professional wrestling there is out there. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, there's not a doubt that his ability to hold your attention while he tells a story is almost second to none, just in general. But his familial history with pro wrestling and the shit he knows and what he's done and been around is just captivating and interesting. And, the story of American pro wrestling is intertwined with the Fuller Welch family. And,
I do listen.
Mm-hmm.
It's full of just history, man,
Yeah.
and names I knew growing up watching some of the TV that I got to watch back in that time period. Man, it's just like, and the names and pictures of the magazines and stuff. The area he's in now, he's up to like I don't know, October of '77 or something, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it just captivates you listening to him tell these stories.
Yeah,
So,
he's just a great gentleman. I mean, great guest.
Yes.
You know, and I don't know if I told you this. I was so thankful that he came on. I did some promotional artwork for the book that he's been using on social media.
Cool.
So,
See,
yeah.
that's the way it's supposed to work, people. Paying it forward and stuff like that in exchange for that man taking the time on his own time to come into the show. Come on, and Jeremy takes it to use talent to give him back some artwork that he can use promotionally for his book Brutus. I mean, that's the way our community seems to work on here on the podcasting. We're helping each other out. We put each other over and try to, the ones you listen to, you give them a plug, man. Hey, that was a good podcast or what have you, you know. So that's something I like to try to live my life by too, is pay it forward, man. That's just something that's always been big with me. And you probably know that. I know we talk about that, and I think of a lot of our fans come across as, well, you know, Sparks has sent you, like you sent me, some pictures of the Superdome way back when we done our Superdome special and things like that, just little things like that. The Olympic Auditorium taking the time to send us some different pictures back in the day.
Yeah.
We did the Olympic Auditorium out there in LA at the time. That was just so cool that they took the time to be recognized and say, hey, you know, even Miranda Gordy saying, hey man, you know, thanks for remembering my dad. You know, that's the way it should work. That's why I encourage everyone to be kind to each other and help each other on Twitter. Again, Jeremy is at the Geekish Cast. I'm at Bobby Blaze 744, or hit us up the Bell to Bell Blaze podcast, Bell to Bell Blaze on Twitter as well. That's the way it should work, man. We try to have a good time here, and I think we had another call in here from someone I'm familiar with. I don't know. Were you familiar with this guy?
I was not 100%. I mean, I've heard the name before, I'm sure,
Okay.
but let's grab him real quick.
Okay.
Hello, all you Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze fans. This is Kenny Wynn. I want to say congratulations to Jeremy, the professor, and you, Bobby Blaze, on reaching 100 episodes. I'm proud of you guys. I enjoy the show. I especially enjoy Jeremy doing his top 10 list because I know the professor can't count the 21 unless he's butt naked. And Bobby Blaze, you've always been one of my favorites. You're the cream of the crop. Every time you got in the ring, you got whipped. Hey, guys, great job, gentlemen. I'm proud of you. Thanks. Keep up the good work, and here's to 100 more good shows.
Yeah, Kenny
Wynn there, folks.
Oh, man.
He's right up there with Willie B. Hurt, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's funny because I feel like every time I see regional talent go into a national promotion, I hear that name, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. This may be. I'll just say this. I'll say it. Then you tell me what you said before we went on the air. Okay.
Okay.
This is going to come in at number 5, I think. Right.
Yeah.
And it's Gary Hart. Gary Hart is the devil. That was the title of it. It was season 6, episode 1. Gary Hart is a devil. And we had a hell of a time doing that podcast, man. We went deep dive into Gary Hart.
Yeah.
And so what did you tell me? I put it in the top 5, but what did you tell me?
Oh, I think you can make an argument that was our best show ever.
Yeah.
I think there's a really strong argument to be made that was our best show ever.
Yeah. A lot of feedback on that, Marion. You know, it was one of our, as one of our best, question mark. Mm-hmm. I have to agree. It was probably, we talked about, several months back about, I went back and I sent it to you. It was, we done one on Bobby Heenan, and I said, man, Jeremy, listen to this. We were on that day and we were spot on. We we went through a podcast, and I don't even know what episode that one was. No disrespect to Bobby Heenan, but we were on. You could just tell we was clicking. Well, because we had debated upon the way we was doing our territories, the manager, the territory, and then the star of the territory, the way we were doing it, of doing a Bobby Heenan one. Of course, we've already done one. Not to say we won't do another one of them, but we were on that podcast. That Gary Hart one, Gary Hart is a devil. Man, there was something so real about it. And we were both on that day also. Something so, it flowed. It was just a flow, it's smooth. It was smooth like Gary Hart was.
Yeah.
And if we found out from, Chad didn't finish the whole sentence up there when he said that he found out something about don't mess with Gary Hart because, as a professor said, Gary Hart will cut a bitch. And we did a bit on that because Jeremy likes wording those little things, the subtitles and the sub captions and things. And I looked up and it said Gary Hart will cut a bitch, and we had a whole little thing on that. So that's season 6, episode 1, not so long ago. But Gary Hart's the Devil is a damn good episode if you want to listen to it, man.
Well, that's another one that it's like specifically tailored to our audience. Like, we all love Gary Hart. We're all fans. And what Bobby was referencing there is when I set up our notes, a lot of times I'll use a subtitle for, each point or, whatever the number is on the top 10 or whatever we're doing. But I'll throw a subtitle in there that kind of sets up the mood for that specific one. So when we were talking about Gary Hart always having a razor blade, that was the title for that point was Gary Hart will cut a bitch. And, Bobby keeps an eye on my notes because sometimes they're real standard and just, straight ahead. And sometimes I get real funny with the wording because there's like a specific thing I want us to hit or a mood I want us to try to capture as we talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right. I think we'll hear from Barnabas Spectrum next. Is that correct?
For those of you who don't already know, my name is David Barnabas Spector, the leader of the odd, the different, and the strange, otherwise known as Darkness Worldwide. And as I travel down the highways and byways of independent professional wrestling, speeding away from every wretched, podunk town on my path, I thoroughly enjoy listening to Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. Bobby, congratulations on 100 episodes, an absolute milestone. And please continue your charity work for 100 more, teaching these idiotic insectoid fans the virtues of our great sport.
And that's really our mission statement, except instead of saying insectoid, I had the wording humanoid, I believe, teaching our idiotic humanoid fans about the history of pro wrestling.
Man, I felt like I was on a dark highway ready to make a U-turn in West Virginia or somewhere.
Yeah, that did seem a little backwoods. Like, there's that part of northern Louisiana that I drove through one time, and that voice and everything kind of reminded me of that, where you're just like, don't stop the car, don't pull over, just keep going.
Yeah.
Don't stop until you hit Texas.
and then be double leery.
Yeah.
Speaking of Texas, let's go to number 4, and that is stables. I'm sure they got a few stables out there in Texas. We had season 1, episode 5. We did what did I have that listed as? That's actually episode number 5 is Wrestling Stables, and we had a few stables, a couple of them being from the Texas area, if you recall.
Yes.
The greatest infractions and stables in professional wrestling. That was one of our earlier ones. Like I said, we had 5 episodes deep into our podcast, and man, we we actually brought up a lot of heat for that. You know, people were like, back then, and I know it's just a couple years back, but there was a lot of interaction about who was the best wrestling stable of all time. Who you know, do you recall some of those off the top of your head?
Oh.
I recall who's number 1 and 2, I think.
Well, the Freebirds are in there, of course.
Yeah. Well, that's where we got our Freebird rule.
Yep,
is that correct?
that is it.
So, yeah, I was going to say, so there's well, I say Texas, but they're bad. They're nationwide, so to say. But yeah, we used our Freebird rule on that when we fooled everyone. We did not list the Freebirds in our top 10 that day until we listed several other. I know Jeremy's got a couple, Devastation, Incorporation, right?
Yep, Devastation Inc.
Yeah, there was several, the Von Erichs, of course, the Four Horsemen, who we put up there at the very top, and that's where we said, no, whoa, hold on here. I'm going to bring out the Freebird rule. And you're like, what the fuck's the Freebird rule? And that's when I was like, you know what the Freebird rule is. There's 3 of us, but you don't know which 2's fighting or which one's fighting that day. And we gave that greatest wrestling stables to the Freebirds. And, man, that got some serious likes and conversation going, man. So if you have not heard that, go back and listen to episode 5. Again, that's season 1, episode 5. I just said that. Wrestling Stables, man, give it a listen. See what you think. And if not, you may already have your mind made up. Send it in. Let us know who you think your favorite all-time wrestling stable was. I mean, was it the First Family? Was it who else did we have on there, Jeremy? Do you remember?
Had the Heenan family.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many. I mean,
Stud Stable.
Yep.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah, there's just so many, and we did it so long ago that it's not real fresh in my mind, but Heenan family is always real high on my list, regardless of if we're talking AWA or WWF or whatever.
Yeah.
Devastation Inc. was a great heel stable. Four Horsemen are top tier, Freebirds, top tier. Did I have Hot Stuff Incorporated on there?
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
you put them over too. I think you had them in the top 5, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Really,
I think
you
that's
really put them up there.
Missy Hyatt was in that group, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, who knows what she's up to nowadays? You know what though? I bet you're real high up on your list is Jock Sampson. Is he real high up on your list? Do you like him at all?
Hey everyone,
because I know he called in this week.
Yes, he did, and I accidentally just started playing it. He's
okay.
He's Jock's an acquired taste, isn't he? He's 10 pounds of shit stuffed in a 5-pound bag, I believe. Something like that. But hey, you know what? The guy's a belt collector. He's got championships all over the promotions. They're local. He's a legend at the cheeseburger joints all over the East Coast in the Ohio Valley area. I guess also, what's his stable called? The Regulators?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just had to finish that beer. I drank that beer. I had one drink left, and I did it in honor of Jock because Jock's a beer drinking motherfucker too. We put down some beer before.
Well, I can imagine.
So I had that beer since I saw Jock coming up here. Jock Sampson, people.
Here he comes.
Hey everyone, this is the greatest wrestler of all time, Jock Sampson, and I want to congratulate Jeremy Vilmer and my friend Bobby Blaze, former Smoky Mountain heavyweight champion, on your all's 100th episode of Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. I tell you right now, congratulations on 100 episodes, boys. I'm goddamn proud of you. But Bobby, if you ever get involved in one of my matches again and you hit me with another right hand, I'm going to beat your ass and you ain't going to make it to 200 episodes. You understand me? And Jeremy's not going to be there to help you. So, Bobby Blaze, enjoy it while you can and stay out of my business.
Well, Bobby, better start working on your left-hand shots.
Yeah.
He didn't threaten you if you hit him with the left.
That's right, or a beer bottle. So I'll heed to that advice there, Jock. Jock's always good to have on the show, good to hear from.
Yeah.
Hell of a performer. Like I said, hell of a beer drinker, hellraiser. But thanks, Jock, for calling that in. And by God, next time I do think I hit you, I don't ever want to hit you. I love you too much. But if I did, it'd be with a fucking beer bottle. Just I respect you, cocksucker.
I think that's the way to handle it. All bullshit aside for a second here, Jock.
Yeah.
He is a dude who works on his character.
Yes, he is.
He is. I mean, fuck. I've talked to him on the phone and stuff, and he's still in character when he does either that or he just doesn't like me. Oh, shit.
Probably both.
It's probably both. I notice he won't call me Professor. Have you noticed that? He forgets Professor when he talks about me. Huh.
Well, man. Anyway,
Yeah.
Let's go down to our top 3 episodes. We're down here rounding it out. I know we're coming up here on some time-wise. We're got a little time in. We've been celebrating our 100th anniversary or 100th episode of the show. And I knew I'd say anniversary eventually. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But this next one, man. It was the 4th episode we done together, and at the time it got over so good, man. It's season 1, episode 4, where I had it labeled as number 4. There's actually a top 10 if you go to YouTube at tinyurl.com/bbbbvideo.com/bbbbvideo. Jock fucking got me all stumbled up here. Tex God actually had time to put some of them those top 10 up there. I'm not sure if all top 10 reasons we love the American Dream's up there, but it is on Dusty Rhodes, The American Dream. And that one time, and I don't know, it still might be at one time, that was our number 1 downloaded podcast, man. People went fucking crazy for The American Dream. And again, it's episode 4 early on in our seasons. And we really put The American Dream over. And that was a fun one too, Jeremy.
Oh, it was a great one. And it was one of those deals where we'd been doing all these like we hadn't done all these. We had just started doing the top 10 list for maybe 2 or 3 episodes. And we had just barely talked about Dusty at all.
Right.
And for us, but for us, that was because Dusty doesn't need to be on a fucking list. Dusty doesn't need to be a world champion. Dusty's fucking Dusty. And
do you recall what happened? How come we done Dusty in the 4th episode? You recall that?
No. Why don't you read that back to me?
So Dave Selby, who's a big fan, a big listener, and a great guy. Love Dave Selby. I didn't know he was listening or anything. He lives many, many miles away from the Ashland area now, but I grew up with him, played sports against him. We had done like the top 10 champions, and we went through, we got down, you and I was arguing between Bockwinkel and Ric Flair, and we just done this great thing on champions.
Mm-hmm.
And we got this on Twitter. It was DHS, I think is what it was, just some initials. And it said, how come you guys didn't mention Dusty in the champions? And you and I wrote each other. We wrote him back, very professional, very courteous, like, because Dusty didn't need a belt to be, champion. He's his own man, and this and that. But we both was also like, we got to fucking do one on Dusty, man. Yep. He needs his own podcast. He don't need to be recognized as, NWA champion or tag team champions or 6-man tag team champions. And that was the first time we kind of collaborated together as far as saying, this is the direction that the program's probably going to go. Here's top 10 reasons we love Dusty Rhodes. No arguments.
Yeah.
Boom. And we clicked, we were clicking some then. But we really clicked on that one. That was, again, episode 4. And, man, it just got over with everyone. But that's why, because a listener, just like Chad from West Virginia, wrote in. Several other people have given us ideas. Jeff gave us an idea before about enhancement talent. Different people has given us different ideas. But early on, D. Selby wrote in and said, how about Dusty, man? You all left him off the list. And we was like, we left him off the list for a reason. He's his own list.
Yeah.
Which made us go, we need to do a fucking Dusty list. And so that's what happened on that one. Great episode, though.
It was great. It was a great episode. We'll never really know how many people listened to that because That was on our old host, so those numbers didn't transfer when we took our hiatus. But yeah, that was kind of our thinking, is we don't have to list Dusty with all this other shit. He's Dusty. I mean, now maybe that's selling it short. Maybe we should have had him on there. Maybe we're overlooking that, but Dusty Rhodes is Dusty Rhodes, second most identifiable athlete in the world.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. We got another call in here.
We do. Let's hear from our boys over at Wide Men Can't Jump, Nate and the Tim Dombrova.
Hey, happy 100th episode, Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze and Professor Jeremy Vilmer. Now to the guy, the star of Wide Men Can't Jump. It's Tim. This is Nate. Congrats, guys.
Top 5 things you might not have known about Bobby and or Jeremy. At number 5, Jeremy was a member of the California boy band, the Kayfabe Thrusters. That's true. With that big hit single, I'd Take a Bump for You. You also may not know that Jeremy's voice on the podcast is actually dubbed in by H. John Benjamin. Another little known fact, that Bobby was in fact the 5th Beatle. What was his name again, Nate?
Bobby Best.
That's it. Excellent. Speaking of Bobby Best, I think he might have been responsible for that hashtag trend of blazing, which is in fact what again, Nate?
If I'm not mistaken, that was when you fuck a mime on a futon.
Oh, imagine that. And the last thing you probably didn't know, but this one really got me though, is that Jeremy's the only professor that preferred Mr. Howell to Ginger or Marianne. Imagine that.
Imagine. Congratulations, guys.
Have a good one, boys.
Well, I married once for love. I figured the second time will be for money.
There you go. There you go. And I tell you what, it ain't nothing wrong with fucking on a futon, even if it is a mime.
Well,
I prefer some speech in there, bitch. Talk to me, Melanie. But you know what? If it's a mime, if they just lay there, get your nut and get off. You're already fucking the futon. How much lower can it get?
As long as they don't start doing that walking against the wind shit,
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you guys very much from Wide Men Can't Jump. If you haven't checked out their podcast, you need to. They do basketball right now. They're in the middle of basketball. They do sports. They do a couple podcasts a week, and pretty good guys. I know they got TR Shock calls into them sometimes also, or works with them sometimes, I should say. I've been a guest in their program before, and they're just a good group of dudes.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Number 2. This was a fun one. This is the one I watched this morning, actually. It's on YouTube, tinyurl.com/BB video. It was episode number 38, which would be, season 138, depending on how you look it up there. But on YouTube, it'll just be the Bell to Bell, Bobby Blaze tag teams. And, man, we went through the tag teams on there, and we had a really good time. I think Tex and Jeremy and myself, we already knew before we lined up 10, we knew who our top number 1 tag team was going to be. And there's some good ones on there, man. Any comments on that, Professor?
Where did the Killer Bees come in at?
The honorable mention.
There we go.
Yeah.
God, I don't even remember who we had on this list now. I assume British Bulldogs had to be on here.
Yes. People got hot because we put them one notch above the Rock and Roll Express. But yeah, we had British Bulldogs on, I think, at number 3.
Heart Foundation would have had to have been on here.
They were on there, yes, sir, they were.
Okay, Rock and Roll, obviously, and I'm gonna guess we had Midnight Express as number 1.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Pretty much the whole video was about the Midnight Express.
Yeah.
The way Tex set it up there, but yeah, that's who it was. Number 1 was the Midnight Express, man, and we did have several honorable mentions. And Killer Bees could have been 10 or could have been honorable mentions. I really don't recall. It's been that far back, but it was. We was only 38 episodes deep at that point, so we were just starting to click and gel, So speaking of tag teams, We've had Adam and Sean tag teaming, and we met them through another podcast, and that is Booking the Territory. And their other partner, when they are members of the Booking the Territory Army, and that is, I guess, the leader, if you will, of the Booking the Territory Army, and that is Mike Mills. And I think Mike called in.
All right, let's grab that one real quick.
Bobby and Jeremy, Bell to Bell, Bobby Blaze, congrats on 100 episodes. I mean, it's not like BTT where we've got over 700 free episodes and a couple hundred more on our Patreon side, but that's neither here nor there. Congrats. I'm just kidding, guys. Congrats on 100 episodes of Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. I especially loved the recent one with Sparks and Adam talking about Mid-South. You can't go wrong talking about some classic Mid-South wrestling. And Sparks is just a knowledgeable fellow when it comes to Mid-South, as you and all your listeners heard when y'all were going through it, and so is Adam. But again, congrats on 100 episodes of Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. I can't think of a better person to hit 100 episodes, and what I mean by that is Bobby Blaze is one of the nicest guys I've ever met, either in or around or aligned with the world of pro wrestling. And if professional wrestling had more Bobby Blazes, professional wrestling would be a lot better these days, in my humble opinion. So Bobby, Jeremy, congrats on 100. Keep kicking out on 2. What that means is keep putting out shows for all the people who love you. And if you love BTT, or if you love Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze, come check out Booking the Territory, where Bobby has been a guest numerous times. And especially when it came to us wrapping up Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Bobby did numerous shows with us near the end of Smoky Mountain Wrestling when we were doing our Smoky Mountain run. Congrats again, guys. I'm just giving you all a hard time, but 100 episodes is an accomplishment. Most podcasts, they just don't get there. But you guys got there, and you should keep the train rolling. Thanks again. Love you, fellas. Take care, and book it.
And that was our pal Mike Mills.
Book it, bitch.
Yeah, he was paraphrasing Jim Cornette too, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I thought that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that very much. And Mike is a good dude. And that program is a very good program. They do a lot of WCW right now, the NWA Saturday night stuff. I got to Doc and Harper are on that show as well. Harper had to do some shoot work there towards the end of the Smoky Mountain Countdown, and so I did several episodes with Mike and Doc early in the morning. On a Friday morning, we record 2 episodes at a time. I did that several times right towards the closing of Smoky Mountain as they was finishing up that podcast. But if you ever get a chance, go over and listen to Booking the Territory. Good guys. Good. The most unprofessional podcast out there, as they say, but it's a pretty damn good one. So thank you, Mike, for that. Jeremy, we got one more. Our number one, what I like doing, this was one of our best ones. You still said, kind of paraphrasing Jim Cornette there, who's one of the greatest wrestling managers of all time, if not the greatest wrestling manager of all time, because that podcast was number 12, and you and I got into a little bit of a heat as it went off the air, and people thought it was a shoot. But we did the greatest managers of all time, and there's some great managers out there. I mean, we've already talked about Gary Hart here just on this podcast. Of course, we brought up Jimmy Hart on another podcast, and during our managers thing, we brought J.J. Dillon. But also it came down to Jim Cornette and Bobby Heenan, and we knew where we all stood at that one. We know who the greatest manager of all time was, and we took it off the air with my former boss and personal friend, someone I have a lot of deep respect for, and that was Jim Cornette. Can't say enough good things about Jimmy, and I appreciate that. But you went off the air saying it's Bobby it's Bobby Heenan, and of course we know it's Bobby Heenan was the greatest manager of all time. But we had a fun time with that podcast, and that's why it's my number one.
Yep.
If you ever want to go back and listen to it, it's listed as number 12, or like I said, season 1, episode 12. If you go back and listen to any of these, that's a good one to start with too, because again, it's one of those things like you said there, and if you look at them numbers, that's number 12. Tag team was 38, but Dusty was number 4. That's when we really kind of started gelling together on the top 10 list. And there's some good older podcasts out there, man, that we've done together. And to reach the 100 episode, I need to say a lot of people have helped us. Bless Tex Johnston, he came on board just as a fan and wanted to help the best way he could, and he got us some YouTube footage and some graphics at cheap graphics, he called it. I think it was Cheap Pete Graphics. Been a lot of good fans. All the people that called in today, thanks for listening to the program and calling in. But also, it couldn't have been done without the Professor Jeremy Vilmer. I have to say thank you so much, Professor, for the opportunity to record this with you and have fun with it and make it educational, inspirational, and it's just a pleasure to look forward to. Going, man, we got something to do this week, and man, here we are doing it, and it's number 100. Now, if you go back on there, there's no number 1 listed because we took that down after about 3 months, I think it was, but it was based off of a movie, and it was like, hello, Bobby, hello, Jeremy. It was just it was oh, hi, Mark, you know, and it was the actual line is, oh, hi, Mark, and it's from The Room. And Jeremy and I connected on that, but the way we were kind of playing around with it was with each other was like Mark. Oh, hi, Mark, calling each other Marks, like we kind of marked out for the wrestling business together on the podcast, so we said, this is what we'll put together. Well, like 3 or 4, I think, in a can. But we had talked enough that, we got those 3 or 4 in the can, maybe 3, because that'd be 4, be Dusty one. But anyway, we played around with it, and we weren't trying to be Marks, but we were like, oh, hi, Mark, and we had fun with it, man. And here it is 100 episodes later, and I can't thank you enough, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you and wrestling fans out there. I appreciate you tuning in. Anything, Jeremy? Jump right in here, man.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, obviously, Bobby, for, agreeing to do the show in the first place and then agreeing to come back to it after a little break there. You always bring an interesting insider point of view. It's nice having your stories and cause, you're one of those guys that like, I'll bring something up and you're like, yeah, I've worked with whoever the fuck we're talking about. Oh, I was there when that happened. And it's cool having that kind of insider point of view that a lot of us wouldn't normally get. So thank you for, allowing us to hear these stories and be there. Thank you to the listeners, because without you, we are basically just jerking off in a stiff breeze. Thank you to everybody who has made pro wrestling such a fun, interesting, and historical thing for us to talk about. Jim Cornette is a great manager, but Bobby Heenan was the greatest. Well, I think that's, what I did want to say real quick. When we got back together and started doing this show, I want to say that the pre-NWA show, I think, was by far the most in-depth we went onto a subject. And because of that, it's always going to be a little bit special to me.
Yeah, and it should be.
Yeah.
So
that is one where
you put that together very good. Yeah.
Yeah, we went fucking deep on that one.
Yeah, we did. And with that said, man, we went a little bit longer than what we normally do, but we did so with the help of several call-in callers and call-in fans, rather, what have you. Thank you for staying with us this long, literally time-wise for the hour and a half today, and also the 100 episodes. I do hope we get another 100 more. I do hope we get a sponsor. I do hope you buy some damn books. If you've already bought one, which you're a listener, you probably have, but you know what? Turn one of your friends on to one of the books, because it does help. Every little bit does help. And with that said, man, Jeremy, you know what I'm going to say is just take care of each other out there. Take care of yourself, man. For your own. I hear these
Bobby,
mental health things.
Hold on, man. Before we sign off, I'm not signing off. I'm just talking. Okay. I was gonna say, because we it sounded like you're getting ready to wrap up, and I'm like, we got one more caller here we need to hear from.
Yeah. Oh well, I wasn't sure, man. If you want me to, I was gonna say, well, hell, because we've heard of this guy. We heard from him before.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Well, William Harding, the Sugar Hole champ, is.
Oh, wait a minute! I don't want to upset William and leave him off the show. You're right, because he gets me in that fucking sugar hole. The way my neck and shoulder are nowadays, I'm definitely not getting out of it. William Harding. So he had something to say, huh?
Yes, he did. Let me grab his message real quick.
Okay.
Hey, folks, it's William Harding from Appalachian Mountain Wrestling and the ICW Sugar Hole Challenge. I wanted to come here today and congratulate my friends, the Professor Jeremy Vilmer and Bobby Blaze, on their 100th episode of Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. It's been an absolute honor to be on previously and be part of this celebratory broadcast. The 100th episode milestone is a testament to all the hard work that Jeremy and Bobby put in each week to give all the listeners a great show. With this being such an amazing event, I reached out to someone that we are all fans of to say a few words about what a great day this is. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to her.
Hey, this is Missy Hyatt, the First Lady of Wrestling. And I just want to let you know that your friend William Harding wanted me to do a big celebrating of the 100th episode of Pro Wrestling Podcast Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze and Professor Jeremy Vilmer. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Anyway, that's a wonderful achievement. 100 episodes? That's amazing. But why haven't you had me on the show? Anyway, congratulations, guys, and I hope you get 1,000 more episodes.
Right, that's getting over.
Mm-hmm. How do we follow that, Bobby?
So long, wrestling fans.
For the late Tex Johnson, myself, Professor Jeremy Vilmer, and Arn Anderson's favorite enhancement talent, Bobby Blaze. Bye-bye, everybody.